Some people come into your life like sunshine, and others come like storms. The greatest freedom you will ever know is learning when to stop chasing storms and start walking toward the light. Letting go is an act of self-respect. When you release someone who no longer honors you, it is not weakness, it is courage. Too often we confuse endurance with strength. We believe that if we can keep tolerating disrespect, if we can keep showing up for someone who never shows up for us, somehow that makes us noble. But strength is not measured by how long you can carry pain. It is measured by the moment you decide you deserve better. Respecting yourself enough to let go is one of the greatest gifts you can ever give to your spirit. Think for a moment about how heavy it feels to constantly explain yourself to someone who has already decided not to listen. Imagine the weight of pouring love into a vessel that leaks, no matter how much you give. That weight does not belong to you. It belongs to the choice you have not made yet, the choice to release. When you respect yourself, you recognize that your time, your energy, and your heart are sacred. You stop wasting them on those who cannot or will not appreciate them. Letting go does not mean you did not love. It does not erase the kindness you gave or the moments you cherished. It simply means you have chosen not to sacrifice yourself on the altar of someone else's indifference. It means you understand that your value does not decrease when someone refuses to see it. If anything, it shines brighter because you have chosen to protect it. There is no respect greater than the respect you show yourself when you decide that mistreatment, neglect, and dishonor will not have a place in your life. Some people will test the limits of your patience. They will take and take until there is nothing left but fragments of the person you used to be. They may smile while they do it. They may whisper promises they never planned to keep. They may keep you hanging in the hope that tomorrow will be different. But if every tomorrow feels like yesterday's disappointment, respect yourself enough to walk away. Waiting for someone to change who has no desire to change is like waiting for winter to bloom flowers. It will never happen, and it will only keep you cold. It is important to understand that self-respect is not arrogance. It is not the belief that you are better than others, but the quiet truth that you are not less than others. To let go is to affirm that your heart deserves kindness, your mind deserves peace, and your soul deserves freedom. It is to say, I will no longer shrink myself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold me. That is dignity, and dignity is a language only self-respect can speak. Letting go often comes with guilt. You may feel as though you are abandoning someone who needs you. You may fear that choosing yourself makes you selfish. But think of it this way. If you continue to pour into a cup that only spills, you are not helping. You are only exhausting yourself. True love, true friendship, true connection, these things never demand you to lose yourself completely. They add to you, they nourish you, they lift you higher. If the presence of someone in your life only drains you, you are not walking away from love, you are walking toward it. Self-respect requires boundaries, and boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks. You decide who comes in, how long they stay, and how they treat the space of your soul. If someone continually slams those doors, mocks the rules of your house, and tramples over your peace, you have the right, no, the responsibility to close that door. And once it is closed, respect yourself enough not to keep reopening it for the same storm that left you in ruins before. It takes great strength to release someone you once loved. There will be nights when memories whisper louder than reason. There will be mornings when you reach for the familiar absence and ache for what used to be. But self-respect is not about the absence of pain. It is about the presence of purpose. You hold steady in your decision because you know your soul's worth is not negotiable. And in time, the pain becomes lighter and the dignity becomes stronger. Every act of letting go creates space. It is as though you clear a room filled with clutter and suddenly light streams in where it never could before. That space allows you to breathe, to grow, to rediscover yourself. Often, we lose ourselves in trying to hold on to others. But once you let go, you find pieces of yourself you had long forgotten. You realize that the laughter you thought someone else had taken from you was always within you. You discover that the peace you thought was lost forever was only waiting for your permission to return. When you respect yourself enough to let go, you send a message to the world about how you deserve to be treated. And the world listens. People begin to rise to the standard you set, or they fall away because they cannot meet it. Either way, you win. You either surround yourself with those who honor you, or you release those who do not. That is the sacred power of self-respect. It cleanses your life of dishonor and fills it with truth. You must also remember that letting go is not always about others. Sometimes it is about letting go of the version of yourself that tolerated too little, that accepted too much, that believed survival was enough. Self-respect teaches you not only to walk away from those who mistreat you, but also to shed the habits and beliefs that made you stay. It asks you to forgive yourself for the times you settled, to honor yourself for the courage you now have, and to embrace the strength of becoming new. At the end of the day, letting go is not about bitterness, and it is not about revenge. It is about freedom. It is about waking up every morning with the peace of knowing you have not betrayed yourself. It is about standing tall in your own truth, unbent by the weight of anyone's disregard. When you choose self-respect, you do not lose, you rise. You rise into clarity, into strength, into a life that reflects the love you always deserved. Letting go is an act of self-respect. And there is nothing nobler than respecting yourself enough to step away from what no longer serves your soul. For when you do not simply walk away, you walk into the life that has been waiting for you all along. Not everyone is meant to stay. Life has a way of teaching us this lesson in the most unexpected ways. We meet people who change us, who shape us, who inspire us, and sometimes who break us. In those first moments of connection, we may believe they are permanent, that they will walk with us through every season. We imagine forever, but often life whispers otherwise. The truth is, some people are only chapters in our story, not the whole book. Their presence has purpose, but their departure does too. Holding on to those who were only meant to visit keeps us from moving forward into the fullness of our journey. When someone enters your life, they bring lessons. Some bring joy, some bring heartbreak, some bring wisdom, and some bring challenge. Their time with you may be long or it may be short, but it is never without meaning. Yet too many of us mistake temporary roles for permanent fixtures. We cling tightly because we fear change, or because the comfort of familiarity blinds us to the necessity of release. We tell ourselves, I cannot imagine my life without them, even when their presence drains us. But the truth is, life has been imagining your future all along, and not everyone you meet belongs in that future. Think about the seasons of nature. Winter does not last forever. Flowers bloom in spring and wither by fall. The tree does not mourn every leaf that falls because it understands the rhythm of life. In the same way, your life will have seasons, and not every person you meet is meant to last through all of them. Some are there to teach you how to love, some to teach you how to let go, and some to show you what you should never accept again. When you understand this, you stop forcing people to stay in a chapter they were never written to finish. There is pain in goodbyes, but there is also wisdom. Some people leave because their journey has taken them in a different direction. Some leave because they have given you all the lesson they were meant to give. And some you must choose to release because keeping them close would cost you your peace, your joy, and your growth. Not everyone is meant to stay, and that is not tragedy. It is the natural order of life. It can feel unfair, especially when you have given your whole heart. You may wonder, why did they come if they were only going to leave? But maybe the question is not why they left, but what they left behind in you. Did they awaken your strength? Did they show you your worth? Did they remind you that you are capable of healing? Sometimes the very people who hurt us are the ones who open the door to our transformation. Their departure pushes us toward the version of ourselves we would never have discovered had they stayed. There is also a freedom in understanding this truth. When you accept that not everyone is meant to stay, you stop begging for love, you stop chasing approval, you stop clinging to what has already let go of you. You begin to realize that those who are meant to be in your life will remain, not because you force them, but because their spirit recognizes yours. Real connections do not require chains. They are not built on desperation or fear. They are built on mutual respect, shared growth, and genuine love. Many of us stay in relationships, friendships, or connections long after they have expired. We hold on because of history, because of guilt, or because of fear of being alone. But the longer you cling to what no longer belongs, the more you delay what does. By making room for people who were never meant to stay, you close the door on those who are destined to walk in. Your future cannot arrive fully if your present is crowded with yesterday. Letting someone go does not mean you hate them. It does not erase the good memories or the moments of joy. It simply means you have learned to respect the natural flow of life. You honor the chapter they played in your story, but you also honor yourself enough to keep writing forward. When a book ends one chapter, it does not mean the story is over. It means the story is ready to move into something new. The same is true for your life. You may notice that some people leave quietly, almost without notice. One day you realize the conversations have slowed, the visits have stopped, the closeness has faded. And while you may feel sadness, you also know that this is life's way of creating space for what is next. Others may leave abruptly with pain or betrayal. That wound may feel unbearable in the moment, but even that carries a lesson. Even that has a way of carving out a deeper understanding of yourself, of what you deserve, and of what you will no longer tolerate. There is also beauty in the ones who stay. When you allow the temporary to pass, you make room for the lasting. The ones who truly belong in your life will not leave when storms come. They will not abandon you when the season changes. They will stand with you, not because they are forced to, but because they are aligned with your soul's journey. These are the people worth keeping, and you only recognize them fully when you have let go of those who were not meant to remain. Not everyone is meant to stay, and that truth is not something to mourn. It is something to embrace. It means your life is dynamic, evolving, ever-changing. It means you are not stuck in one season, but constantly moving towards something greater. Every goodbye is a door opening. Every departure is a lesson completed, and every release brings you closer to the people and experiences that are truly yours. So honor those who came and went. Thank them for the lessons, the memories, the growth. Then step forward with the understanding that the story is not over. It is only unfolding. Trust that those who are meant to walk with you will never need to be chained, and those who leave are simply making room for something more aligned with your destiny. For in the end, the beauty of life is not in how many people stay forever, but in how deeply you grow through the ones who do. Peace is greater than company. Too often, we live our lives believing that the measure of happiness is how many people surround us, how full our calendar looks, how many friends we can count on two hands. We cling to company because we fear what silence might reveal. Yet what is the worth of company if it robs you of peace? What is the value of sitting beside someone if your soul feels restless, unseen, or unloved? True freedom comes when you realize that the stillness of peace is far richer than the noise of shallow companionship. There are times when people will crowd your life with their presence, but their presence does not mean connection. Some sit beside you yet make you feel lonelier than when you were by yourself. They talk, but they do not hear you. They look, but they do not see you. They stay, but they do not stand with you. That kind of company is not a blessing, it is a burden. Peace, on the other hand, is gentle, steady, and healing. It does not demand, it does not drain, it simply allows you to be whole. Peace gives you space to breathe, to listen to your own heart, to understand your own needs. Company without peace only distracts you from yourself. How many times have you laughed in a room full of people only to walk away feeling emptier than when you arrived? How many times have you kept someone close just to avoid the sting of loneliness, even though their presence cost you your joy? That is the dangerous illusion that being surrounded means being fulfilled. But fulfillment does not come from the crowd, it comes from the quiet assurance that you are safe within yourself. We must learn that being alone is not the same as being lonely. Loneliness is the ache of not knowing your own worth. Aloneness, embraced with peace, is the gift of discovering it. When you sit in your own silence and feel no need to fill it with meaningless chatter, you have found a treasure many spend a lifetime searching for. Company may be fleeting, but peace, once found, becomes the steady foundation of a life well lived. It is natural to crave companionship. We are human, wired for connection. But connection should not come at the cost of your sanity or your spirit. You should never have to sacrifice your well-being to hold on to someone who constantly disrupts your peace. If their words belittle you, if their actions betray you, if their presence makes your heart heavy, then no matter how much company they bring, you are better without them. For the silence of peace is far kinder than the noise of disrespect. Peace is not passive, it is power. It is the courage to walk away from toxic company. It is the decision to choose quiet over chaos, calm over conflict, and wholeness over constant compromise. Many people stay in relationships or friendships that wound them simply because they fear solitude. They trade peace for presence. But in doing so, they chain themselves to unhappiness. It takes strength to release what does not serve you, but that strength builds a life where your spirit can rest. Sometimes we are afraid that letting go of people means our lives will become small, that solitude will shrink us. But the opposite is true. Peace expands you. It makes room for clarity, creativity, and growth. In the quiet, you discover new parts of yourself. You hear dreams you had buried beneath the noise. You feel the healing you once thought impossible. Company may distract you for a while, but peace transforms you forever. Consider the way water looks when disturbed. Drop a stone and ripples scatter across the surface. You cannot see clearly through it until the movement stops and stillness returns. Your life is the same. Company that disturbs your peace is like a constant ripple. You cannot see yourself, you cannot see your future, you cannot see your truth. But when you choose peace, clarity comes. Stillness allows you to understand who you are and where you are going. There will always be voices that say, you should never be alone. Society often teaches us that solitude is shameful, that our worth is measured by how many people we can gather around us. But numbers do not equal love. Crowds do not equal care. The world is full of people who are surrounded yet starving for peace. And it is also full of those who walk alone yet radiate strength because they have chosen the higher path, the path of inner calm over outer noise. The beauty of peace is that it attracts the right company. When you value your calm, you begin to choose differently. You stop tolerating those who bring chaos. You stop accepting half love, half truth, half effort. Instead, you wait for the souls who match your peace, who protect it rather than disturb it. That kind of company does not demand your silence. It does not shrink your spirit. It amplifies your joy because it is rooted in respect. The truth is, you do not need a crowd to validate your worth. You do not need constant noise to prove you are alive. What you need is the quiet assurance that you can sit with yourself and be at ease. Once you have peace, you will never again chase company just to fill a void. You will no longer confuse attention with affection or presence with love. You will know the difference between being surrounded and being supported. Peace is greater than company because it sustains you. Company may come and go, but peace, once planted, grows deep roots. It steadies you in storms, comforts you in loneliness, and strengthens you in silence. Without peace, even the largest crowd will leave you restless. With peace, even in solitude, you will never feel alone. So when you are faced with the choice between noisy company that costs your spirit and quiet peace that heals it, choose peace every time. For it is in peace that you find yourself. And once you find yourself, you will never again settle for company that makes you forget who you are. Letting go creates space for growth. So much of life's beauty is hidden behind the weight we refuse to release. We clutch tightly to people, to memories, to mistakes, to dreams that no longer fit the shape of who we are becoming. We tell ourselves that holding on is loyalty, that it shows commitment, that it proves strength. Yet often it is not loyalty, but fear, not commitment, but habit, not strength, but resistance to change. And in that resistance, we suffocate the very growth we are meant to embrace. To grow is to let go. To rise is to release. Think of a tree in autumn. Its leaves, once green and vibrant, begin to fade. If the tree refused to let go, if it clung desperately to every leaf, it could never rest through the winter, never bloom again in spring. The shedding is not loss. It is preparation. In the same way, when you let go, you are not abandoning your life. You are preparing it for renewal. You are creating the space where new possibilities, new people, new strength, and new love can enter. Without release, growth cannot happen. We often believe that if we just hold on a little longer, things will change. We hope that the person who has wounded us will suddenly love us differently. We pray that the job draining our spirit will somehow become fulfilling. We replay mistakes, clutching to regret as if keeping it alive will undo the past. But growth does not come from clutching, it comes from surrender. You cannot plant new seeds in soil already overrun with weeds. You must clear the ground, even when it feels painful, to make room for the life waiting to grow. Letting go is not just about people. It is about the habits that no longer serve you, the beliefs that keep you small, the fears that cage your potential. Perhaps you have carried the voice of doubt for years, a whisper telling you that you are not enough. As long as you clutch that voice, you cannot hear the sound of your own strength. Perhaps you have wrapped yourself in guilt for choices you made long ago. As long as you keep dragging that guilt, you cannot step freely into the future. Growth requires space, and space requires release. Yet letting go is never easy. It asks you to trust the unknown, to walk into emptiness before you see what will fill it. There is a moment of silence after goodbye, a hollow echo that makes you wonder if you made the right choice. But emptiness is not failure, it is opportunity. That hollow space is where new life begins. Just as a musician leaves silence between notes so the song can breathe, your life needs those pauses where you have released the old and are waiting for the new. Without the silence, there is no music. Without the space, there is no growth. Growth does not come to the one whose hands are already full. Imagine trying to hold water in a fist, already clutching stones. You cannot receive what is meant for you if you refuse to release what is not. Many of us live life weighed down, wondering why joy feels so far away, when the truth is joy cannot enter a house filled with clutter. Love cannot settle in a heart still carrying old wounds. Opportunity cannot grow in a mind filled with fear. The act of letting go clears the path. It tells life, I am ready. I have made room. I am open to what is next. Letting go also allows you to rediscover yourself. When you stop holding on to what was, you begin to notice who you are now. You realize the strength that carried you through storms, the resilience that survived heartbreak, the wisdom that grew from mistakes. Growth is not only about new beginnings, but also about self-discovery. It is about shedding the layers of who you thought you had to be so that who you truly are can emerge. So many people are afraid of endings because they confuse them with failure. They see the end of a relationship, the loss of a dream, or the closing of a chapter as evidence that they were not enough. But endings are not failure. They are transitions. They are bridges to the next place you are meant to go. To let go is to honor that transition. It is to say, I trust that this ending is guiding me toward a greater beginning. And in that trust, you grow. There will be those who do not understand why you choose to let go. They may call you cold, ungrateful, or impatient. But you know your soul's weight. You know what peace feels like and what burdens steal it. Growth does not require the approval of others. It only requires the courage to release what holds you back. And sometimes the most profound growth comes from decisions that no one else understands but you. With every release, you move closer to freedom. When you let go of resentment, forgiveness blooms. When you let go of fear, courage rises. When you let go of people who diminish you, self-love grows. Each release is like pruning a garden, cutting away what no longer nourishes the soil so that the flowers of tomorrow may flourish. And yes, the pruning stings, but the growth that follows is worth every tear. In time, you will look back and realize that letting go was not loss, but liberation. You will see that the empty spaces you once feared became the sacred grounds where joy was planted, where new love arrived, where peace returned, and where your truest self unfolded. You will see that growth was never about adding more to your life, but about making room for what truly mattered. Letting go creates space for growth. And growth is what life is all about, becoming more, reaching higher, unfolding into the person you were always meant to be. Release the weights, trust the silence, and open your hands. For only when they are empty can life fill them with all that is waiting to bloom. Release is not revenge, it is wisdom. Many people mistake letting go for an act of hostility. They think walking away means you hate someone, that you carry anger or a need to punish. But true release does not come from bitterness. It comes from clarity. It comes from understanding that your spirit is too precious to remain chained to pain. To release is not to seek revenge, but to protect your peace. It is not an act of war, but an act of wisdom. Revenge is loud. It shouts of hurt, it feeds on anger, and it demands the other person feel the same suffering you endured. But wisdom is quiet. It whispers, I no longer need this battle. Revenge ties you to the one who hurt you, keeping you bound in cycles of resentment. Wisdom severs the tie and sets you free. There is no growth in revenge, only more wounds. But there is peace in release, and peace is the reward of those who choose wisdom over war. Think about the times you've held on to bitterness. Perhaps you replayed an argument. Imagine the perfect response. Rehearse the speech that would cut them as deeply as they cut you. Yet after all the imagining, did you feel lighter? Or did you feel heavier, as if carrying the wound all over again? Revenge may offer the illusion of strength, but in reality, it drains you. It consumes your energy, your joy, and your ability to move forward. Release, on the other hand, restores your strength. It says, I do not need to fight to prove my worth. My worth is already intact. Wisdom understands that not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people will harm you, not because you are unworthy, but because they are unhealed. They may betray you, deceive you, or diminish you. You could spend your life trying to make them pay, but every moment spent seeking revenge is another moment stolen from your own healing. Release is not about them, it is about you. It is about reclaiming the hours, the energy, and the peace you lose when you remain chained to anger. There is also a quiet dignity in choosing release. When you let go without hatred, you rise above the very thing that was meant to break you. You show that your spirit is not defined by the harm done to you, but by the wisdom you chose in response. You do not lower yourself to match their cruelty. You lift yourself to honor your own growth. That is strength. That is wisdom. Release does not mean forgetting. It does not mean the pain never mattered or the wound never existed. It simply means you refuse to let that pain become the defining story of your life. You can remember without reliving. You can acknowledge the wrong without letting it control your future. This is wisdom, the understanding that the past cannot be changed, but your response to it can shape the future you walk into. Some will say, if I let go, they win. But the opposite is true. If you let them occupy your mind with thoughts of revenge, they still control you. If you let them keep you bitter, they still have power over your joy. Release is how you win. It is how you say, you may have taken a piece of my past, but you will not take my present or my future. That is not weakness. That is the deepest kind of strength. It takes great courage to choose wisdom over revenge, because revenge feels satisfying in the moment. But wisdom sees further than the moment. It asks, what will bring peace not just today, but tomorrow and all the days after? Revenge burns bridges. Release builds paths. Revenge keeps your heart closed. Release opens it again. And when your heart is open, life can pour in love, joy, and healing you never thought possible. Consider nature. When a storm rages, the sky could cling to the lightning, keep the thunder rolling endlessly, but it doesn't. The storm releases, the rain falls, the clouds part, and the sun shines again. Life is like that. Pain will come, but if you hold on to it in revenge, the storm never ends. Release allows the light to return. Wisdom tells you that storms are temporary, but only if you let them pass. Release also protects you from becoming like the one who hurt you. When we seek revenge, we often mirror the very behavior we despised. We say things we later regret. We act in ways that dishonor our own values. But when you release, you remain true to yourself. You rise above the harm instead of replicating it. That is wisdom, knowing that your character matters more than proving a point. It is important to understand that release is not reconciliation. You do not have to welcome someone back into your life to let them go. You do not have to excuse what they did. Release is simply choosing not to carry them any longer. It is setting down the heavy load of resentment so that you can walk lighter into your future. Some people may never apologize. Some wounds may never receive closure. Release says, I do not need their apology to be whole. I do not need their acknowledgement to heal. I choose freedom anyway. Wisdom teaches us that life is too short to waste on revenge. The years are precious and the days pass quickly. If you fill them with bitterness, you lose twice: the harm they caused and the joy you deny yourself. Release is not about forgetting the story, but about choosing how the story ends. It ends not with bitterness, but with strength, not with chains, but with freedom, not with revenge, but with wisdom. When you release, you step into a higher place. You leave behind the cycle of anger and rise into clarity, peace, and dignity. You discover that true strength is not in how deeply you can wound someone else, but in how gracefully you can let go. And when you let go, you find that the space once filled with resentment is now open for joy, for love, and for the endless possibilities of a life unburdened. Release is not revenge, it is wisdom, and wisdom will carry you further than bitterness ever could. Healing begins with goodbye. As difficult as it is to face, there comes a moment in life when the path to wholeness requires us to release what we have been holding on to. We cling to people, memories, dreams, and versions of ourselves long after they have stopped serving our growth. We convince ourselves that holding tighter will somehow make the pain lighter, that keeping someone close will somehow repair what is broken. But the truth is, as long as you keep reopening old wounds, healing cannot take place. The doorway to freedom is often carved out of a single word: goodbye. Goodbyes are heavy because they carry the weight of everything that once was. They are filled with laughter that once felt endless, with promises that once seemed unbreakable, with hope that once lit up every tomorrow. Saying goodbye feels like burying part of yourself. But what we forget is that holding on to what is already gone buries us even deeper. Goodbye, though painful, is the beginning of release. It is the moment the wound can finally close because you have stopped picking at its edges. Healing is not about forgetting the past. It is about refusing to be imprisoned by it. Some relationships, some seasons, some chapters in life will never return to what they once were. You can pour your energy into trying to revive them, but you will only exhaust yourself. Goodbye is not about erasing love or memories. It is about creating space for recovery. When you say goodbye, you choose yourself. You choose peace. You choose the possibility of a future unchained by what has already ended. Too often, we resist goodbye because we fear loneliness. We believe the ache of emptiness will destroy us. Yet emptiness is not destruction, it is preparation. It is the fertile soil where healing can take root. Think of a wound on the body. It cannot close if dirt and debris remain inside. The wound must be cleaned, cleared, and given space to mend. The same is true of the soul. Until you release what clings to you with pain, the wound cannot begin to heal. Goodbye is that cleansing. It stings, yes, but it is necessary. There is also power in understanding that goodbye is not always an end. It is often a beginning. It is the beginning of rediscovering yourself outside of what hurt you. It is the beginning of new relationships that honor your worth. It is the beginning of strength you never knew you had. Healing is not passive. It requires action, and often that action is simply the courage to walk away. Goodbye is not weakness. It is strength dressed in sorrow. Many people stay in broken places because they confuse familiarity with safety. They stay in relationships that wound them because at least they know the pattern. They stay in jobs that drain them because at least they know the routine. They stay in cycles of pain because stepping into the unknown feels unbearable. But healing cannot come from what hurt you. A goodbye is often the most necessary medicine, bitter on the tongue but healing to the soul. Saying goodbye also restores dignity. When someone mistreats you, disregards your worth, or refuses to change, staying is not loyalty, it is self-abandonment. Goodbye is the moment you say, I matter too much to remain in a place where I am diminished. That is the beginning of healing, because healing cannot take place where harm continues. Goodbye is the boundary where pain ends and restoration begins. There will be nights when the silence after goodbye feels louder than the noise you left behind. You may miss the comfort of the familiar, even when it was toxic. That is the strange nature of the heart. It longs for what it knows, even when what it knows is pain. But if you remain steady, if you hold on to the truth that healing requires distance, you will begin to notice something. Slowly, the silence becomes soothing. Slowly, the weight begins to lift. Slowly, the ache turns into a scar, and a scar is nothing more than proof that healing has taken place. Healing also asks you to let go of guilt. Many carry the belief that saying goodbye makes them selfish or heartless. But goodbye is not cruelty. It is compassion for yourself. You cannot heal by staying loyal to what breaks you. You cannot mend by sacrificing your wholeness for someone else's comfort. Healing requires that you value yourself enough to step away, even when others do not understand. There will be times when goodbye is not your choice. Someone may walk away from you. Someone may end a chapter you desperately wanted to continue. That kind of goodbye feels like betrayal, like rejection, like being left behind. But even then, healing begins the moment you stop chasing what has already left. You cannot force someone to stay who has chosen to go. What you can do is trust that their absence is clearing space for someone who belongs, someone who will honor your heart instead of wounding it. The courage to say goodbye is the same courage that opens the door to tomorrow. Healing is not about racing to forget, but about learning to carry memory without pain. Goodbye is how you separate love from suffering, how you honor the past without being enslaved by it. In time, you will see that what felt like loss was really release. You will see that what felt like emptiness was really the space where peace was waiting. Every goodbye shapes you. It teaches you resilience, it deepens your wisdom, and it strengthens your spirit. At first, it may feel like breaking, but over time, it becomes building. The pieces you thought were shattered rearrange into a stronger, more complete version of yourself. Goodbye is not the end of your story. It is the turning of a page, and healing is written on every page that follows. Healing begins with goodbye, and though those words may feel heavy, they are also filled with promise. For every goodbye, no matter how painful, is also a doorway. And beyond that doorway lies the freedom, the strength, and the wholeness you have been waiting for. Your future cannot hold the wrong people, no matter how tightly you cling to them, no matter how deeply you pray they will change, no matter how much history you share, the truth remains. Some people are simply not designed to walk with you into the life you are becoming. They may have been a part of your past. They may even hold space in your present, but they cannot survive in your future. The soil of tomorrow does not allow roots that poison its ground. The blessings that are written for you cannot be carried in the hands of those who do not value or respect them. It is one of the hardest lessons in life, learning that not everyone who starts the journey with you is meant to finish it with you. Some people are bridges. They help you cross from one season to another, and when the crossing is done, their purpose is fulfilled. Others are mirrors, reflecting back to you lessons about love, patience, strength, or boundaries. But not everyone is a destination. Not everyone is meant to live in your forever. The struggle comes when we try to force temporary people into permanent places. When we do this, we block the flow of what life has already planned for us. Your future requires alignment. It is like a key fitting into a lock. Only the right people with the right spirit, the right energy, the right intention can open the doors ahead of you. The wrong people, no matter how familiar, will never turn the lock. They will only rattle the door, leaving you frustrated, waiting, and exhausted. Some of you are standing at doors that will not open simply because of who you are trying to carry with you. The door is not locked. It is waiting for you to release what does not belong. It is natural to feel loyalty to those who have walked beside you. We hold on out of gratitude, out of fear of being alone, or out of memories that once brought joy. But gratitude does not mean you must keep someone who stunts your growth. Fear does not mean you must stay bound to someone who disrespects your worth. Memory does not mean you must sacrifice your future to keep the past alive. The truth is, carrying the wrong people into your future is not kindness. It is self-betrayal. Think of your life as a garden. Every season requires pruning. Dead branches must be cut away to make room for new growth. If you refuse to cut, the entire plant suffers. In the same way, your future cannot bloom if you allow the wrong people to take up space meant for those who will water, nurture, and protect your growth. The wrong people bring weeds of doubt, criticism, and negativity, choking the roots of your purpose. But when you release them, the soil clears and new life can finally take hold. Your future is too valuable to be negotiated with those who cannot see it. The wrong people cannot support dreams they do not understand. They cannot encourage visions they cannot imagine. They cannot honor goals they secretly resent. That is why life often removes them before you even realize their harm. When someone exits your life, it is not always rejection. It is redirection. The universe, God, or fate, however you understand it, knows what your future requires, and sometimes it requires solitude until the right people arrive. There is also a weight to wrong people that is often invisible until you let them go. You may not realize how much energy you have lost, how much peace you have surrendered, or how much time you have wasted until the moment you are free. The wrong people drain in small, silent ways, through criticism, through lack of support, through betrayal of trust. And when you step away, you suddenly breathe deeper. You suddenly feel lighter. That lightness is the beginning of your future, calling you forward. Understand this. Your destiny cannot be delayed forever, but it can be disrupted by your refusal to let go. The future is patient, but it will not bring blessings into a house filled with chaos. It will not deliver purpose to a table already cluttered with distractions. It will wait until you are ready, until you release the wrong people and create space for the right ones. That readiness begins the moment you decide that peace, growth, and wholeness matter more than clinging to familiarity. Sometimes the wrong people are not cruel or malicious. They are simply not aligned with where you are going. They may be kind but stagnant, loving but complacent, caring but afraid of growth. And if you choose to stay tethered to their pace, you will also remain stagnant. Love does not mean you must stop evolving. True love, whether from friends, partners, or family, pushes you forward, not backward. If someone cannot walk at the pace of your calling, your future will leave them behind, and you must be willing to let them go. The beauty of releasing the wrong people is that it clears the path for the right ones. When you stop giving energy to those who cannot value it, you suddenly discover those who can. The right people will see your worth without needing explanation. They will celebrate your victories without envy. They will hold space for your pain without judgment. And most importantly, they will grow alongside you, pushing you toward your future instead of pulling you back into your past. Your future cannot hold the wrong people, and though that truth may hurt, it is also a promise. It is a promise that you are not meant to remain surrounded by those who break you. It is a promise that you are worthy of relationships that honor your worth and reflect your growth. It is a promise that your destiny is far too important to be shared with those who would squander it. So when life calls you to release, do not resist. When doors close, do not beg them to reopen. When people walk away, do not chase them. Trust that every ending is a beginning. Trust that every goodbye is making space for a greater hello. Trust that your future, the one designed for you, is waiting just beyond the weight of the wrong people. And when you finally step into that future, free and unburdened, you will understand why it could never hold the wrong people, because it was always reserved for the right ones. My friends, hear me clearly. Life is not about how many people you hold on to, but about how many times you choose peace over pain. The art of living is knowing when to open the door and when to close it. So dare to release, dare to walk lighter, dare to believe that when you let go of those who diminish you, you step into the life that was always waiting for you.